Today's Tanya teaches us something really, really very, very, very special, and that is, we all know that there are basically an inner and outer dimension. Everything in the world has an inner and outer dimension. And the goal of life, of course, is that the inner dimension should dominate, or if not dominate, should infuse the outer dimension. The two dimensions should kind of become one. Now, the inner dimension of reality, it's a story that the Alter Rebbe once asked a chassid, so what is Hashem? So he wasn't going to answer the Alter Rebbe. And then he said, what is a neshama, a Jewish soul? Again, he wasn't going to answer. So the Alter Rebbe answered his own question. He says, Hashem is hu levadei hu ve'ein zulase. The level of God himself is that he is the only reality. There is no other reality besides him. All realities, like a computer, basically, if you talk about a computer and a screen, what is the reality of the computer? The screen is just something the computer is projecting. It doesn't have any reality on its own. Proof is, if you shut off the computer, there's no screen. Every reality is just something God is projecting into existence. Now, the neshama, the Jewish soul, is one that can comprehend this, that even though you see a table, you see a chair, you see a wall, you see a tree, you understand it's just a computer game. It's just being projected by God. Now, this is an inner wisdom. This wisdom is the level of chachma. Chachma is the koyach ma. It's the ability to see what is beyond us. And that is the yud. It begins with a point above, and it takes this inner light and it allows it to trickle down through its body into right down here on earth. And the thing is, most of us are born into a body. There's a story that a person once came to, or more accurately, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Mittler Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe, before he passed away, he asked the Mittler Rebbe to his son to tap him on his hand. And he said, what do you feel? He says, I feel a hand. He says, you feel a hand because you tapped with a hand. But I see the godly force that's making this hand. In fact, I have a friend who took too much drugs once, and he saw how everything is made up of Hebrew letters. We know that everything is really energy, and the energy is the Hebrew letters. The Hebrew letters are, in fact, the source code, and the shapes of the Hebrew letters, how that energy comes. It's very interesting. Water, mayim, is H2O. If you look at the atomical structure of water, it's two oxygen molecules with one hydrogen. Actually, the two oxygen surround the one hydrogen, and that's literally like the word mayim, mem, yud, mem. So the Hebrew letters, and there are other people that have seen this in near-death experience, the Hebrew letters create the very, very fabric of the atoms and all the energy that we see. Now, to make a long story short, we feel with our senses. We sense the world through our senses, but that doesn't mean that that is reality. It's just one of the ways of inputting information. The real reality, something that we could conceive of. But the things that we sense, we feel much more directly than the things that we can conceive of. So we have this kind of battle between what we know and what we feel. And somehow what we know has to reach the level of what we feel. And this is like a river or a mayon. It has this water that can come, but the water is underground. And we got to get the water outside of the underground into the revealed layer, so it's filling our soul with this light. And the way we do that is through charity, through helping others, particularly through giving everything we have to charity. Why? Because when we help someone, we uplift him, we take his soul out of sadness, out of feeling constricted, out of feeling limited, and we put his soul into an expansive way. It's like opening up the floodgates, and he's able to shine. That's the whole idea of charity. The word chesed in Hebrew is actually chesar diles, something like that. Fill the need that they have. In fact, Hillel Hazakin, he said that if there's a wealthy man that, for example, he's used to driving, a Mercedes, you have to buy him a Mercedes, because to him, that's a lack. He's not used to just a Toyota. He's used to a Mercedes. And in fact, it was a wealthy man in the olden days. They would have a wagon and they'd have 50 people going in front. I guess it was an honor. And he actually provided this for this person because this person's basic honor had sunk to the ground. And so therefore, the idea of charity is to lift somebody up to the level of let's say, if they're used to middle class, if they're used to wealth, whatever their level of comfort is, less than that they feel that they're lacking, to help that person. And of course, the greatest charity is somebody that's lacking knowledge of God. Every soul is desperate for God, desperate for truth. And that's why the Rebbe taught us to go and bring a mitzvah to another Jew. Everything that we do is critically important, especially in this time. I read a letter yesterday for the Rebbe. He said people try this idea, that idea, campaigns and committees. But one simple thing is do a mitzvah. We're all one soul. And if you strengthen one part of the soul, if the heart is better, the rest of the body is better. Even if the feet are better, the rest of the body is better. So any person at any time could do an extra mitzvah, could do something more for God, more for Israel, and that will affect the entire cosmic story. As the Rambam says, you should always see the world as 50% good and 50% bad, like a scale. And one more mitzvah can bring Mashiach. We have to have this passion that extra mitzvah could do it. The Rebbe, in fact, at one point said that he did everything he could to bring Mashiach, and now he gives it over to everybody else. And then he says, and what else can I do is I could give more charity. Basically, there's never a time that you can't do more. So charity has this tremendous power. And charity shouldn't be like, okay, I take care of my needs and then I'll help somebody. Charity is like, well, I want my soul. The most important thing is my soul should shine. That there shouldn't be this cut between my soul and my body. My soul should be filling my body. Well, then I have to give unstintingly to others. L'chaim v'levracha.